thanks for joining us here for the news on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley, joined with reporter Cam McCann, because just a few hours from now at 2:30, Chatham County Chairman Chester Ellis is going to be responding to CAT, the Chatham Area Transit Service, regarding yesterday's press conference that they held where they disputed some of Chairman Ellis's claims. So Cam McCann joins us now to kind of break down this, and this has really become a whole saga now, basically. Cam, what should folks know ahead of this press conference?
Yeah, well, first off, this is coming right off the heels of CAT's response to some claims, 6 claims that Chester Ellis made recently. And this back and forth didn't start this week, like we've said. This is an ongoing thing, and it's been ongoing ever since Chester sent a letter to terminate services with CAT, the county services with CAT, on November 13th.
The Chatham County Commission is responsible for public transportation here, not the state legislators. For them to go and to work on a plan where we have to give monies to private citizens to do public things with is totally wrong.
Now, in the letter to terminate those services, he claimed the agency is mismanaging money, specifically in the paratransit division, which the county funds. Now, yesterday, like we said, CAT's leaders pushed back on that. You could see those documents showing where the money has gone. That all adds up, and you can see that on your screen. Here's what CAT spokesperson Spencer DeMink said yesterday regarding that alleged mismanaged money.
The county and CAT do this math. If there's any math that they think is wrong, they've just done the math wrong. What they're referencing, there's 2 different agreements for paratransit, one for 3, one for 4. They just didn't add in the 4. 3 plus 4, 7.
And so, Jude, that leaves us where we are today. Now, CAT Board Chairman, you saw him in that video right next to Spencer DeMink. Dietrich Leggett said that he's been in contact with multiple commissioners about this ongoing saga. He didn't say he's been in contact with Chester specifically, but a bunch of the other, commissioners who said that they don't necessarily, or as he said, in that termination letter, it was sent by Chester Ellis. Not all of the commissioners agreed on it. And, Dietrich says that the divide between the 2 boards isn't as drastic as people think. So let's cut to some of the video of that there.
Well, at this moment, I think we're in a good place. We're going to have a conversation with our county counterparts and have an opportunity to give some context to all of these allegations or some misinformation that was given out, but we have to do it as a collective.
Now, another thing to note is that the commission board, the county commission board with Chester Ellis, like I said, it wasn't unanimous on this decision, right? Multiple of the other commissioners told WTOC after a commission meeting, this was completely unprompted, they came up to us and told us that they weren't expecting this termination letter. They said they had talks about it, but that they were not ready for that letter to be sent out and published, sent to CAT when it was. So here you could see a couple clips of them disagreeing right after that commission meeting on the 21st.
We did discuss it.
I had no clue a letter like that was going out.
I was not aware that the letter went out.
From our conversation, I thought I was given authorization to do that.
Now, that was Dean Kicklighter and Pat Farrell specifically in there. And this is all one big catastrophe that we're looking at here. I'm hoping to hear today about Ellis's remarks regarding that mismanaged money. That he says that CAT misused. The final detail regarding today's press conference, though, this is probably the most interesting thing today. Democratic State Senator Derek Mallow, he's going to be speaking today alongside Chester Ellis. Now, the weird part of that, the rub, is that Mallow actually voted to change the CAT board earlier this year, and that was what Chester Ellis is so upset about, is that they took representation away from the county and put from 6 out of 9 seats on the board represented by the county to 3 out of 11. That's a 66% representation to 27%. And so that decrease is what has kind of led to this cavalcade of events, which the mayor has said is retaliatory. Like, these actions taken by the county is retaliatory from that ruling. And CAT has agreed with that as well. Their spokesperson Spencer mentioned that yesterday at that presser.
Interesting. So an interesting pair speaking this afternoon, which we will be carrying that press conference at 2:30 live here on WTOC Plus to get the latest on this. But interesting because in that initial letter that was sent, a lot of it did center around that county representation on the board.
Yeah, I mean, that's, like you said, Chester called that unconstitutional, right? And he believes that it's not up to the state legislator to decide this, Chatham area transit and its future, but it's up to the county, right? And that's an interesting battle that they're going through there. But House Bill 756, that's what passed. It passed, I believe it was 55-1 in favor versus not in favor. So this was overwhelmingly agreed upon by the state legislator to be controlled and, managed, kind of change the workaround there by the state legislator. And so that's kind of the battle that's been going on. The weird part about it is, attacking CAT when I believe it was the mayor who said earlier this week, CAT didn't do this. This was done by the state legislator. So why is there an attack on CAT specifically? I think it's just more of a retaliatory thing, like the mayor and CAT have both said. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to hear what is going to be said today at this press conference. Like you said, difference in opinions between the two guys who are up. I don't know if Chester's going to rescind some of his statements, if the state senator is going to rescind some of his statements. It's going to be interesting to see if there's disagree among the two that are speaking, or if they've come to some sort of agreement that, is unforeseen for me or any of other viewers.
Yeah, and speaking from this from like the news and coverage side, it is interesting in a way because it's been a very public battle. You normally don't have a press conference to respond to a press conference to just respond. Like this is like almost layers and layers now of very public, outspoken statements going back and forth between these two agencies. So it's become a pretty decisive thing. Or you spoke earlier, the mayor came out and even spoke about this during a press conference. So it's interesting, just all of these statements. It almost feels like they're communicating through the public marketplace of ideas going back and forth.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about it. But, like I said, the commissioners weren't all on board with this. And so that's part of the rub. WTOC has spoken with a couple commissioners, and it has been brought up that, to rescind that termination letter, that might come up as a motion on Friday's commission meeting. That's tomorrow, right? And so why a press conference was called today when they have a meeting tomorrow, I can't really say, but it's a lot of details, a lot to keep track of. But really the main thing is that this is all juicy details in kind of a war over funding and representation for CAT, Chatham Area Transit.
Well, it's been a long battle so far, and Cam, we appreciate you joining us to break it all down. Again, we will be carrying that press conference here on WTOC Plus at 2:30. But Cam, I know you'll be on the news this evening to kind of wrap it all up for the main points folks should know. What time will your stories air this evening?
Yeah, so the news at 5 and the news at 6 is when I'll be out live, and I'll have more details on what are said during this press conference, which I'm personally excited to hear about. Just from curiosity standpoint, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting, and you guys need to tune in 5 and 6. Make sure.
All right. Well, Cam McCann, we appreciate you joining us to break all that down.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.